friends, welcome to another episode of Let's Talk with Indrashish. আজকে আমার সঙ্গে এমন একজন আছেন who has seen it all. He has been a startup founder who has cracked investment and cracked funding deals. And now he's a startup mentor and a startup investor himself. We have Mr. Tuhin Ghosh joining us today directly from Bangalore. Thank you so much for your time, Tuhin.
Thank you, Indrashish. Thanks for calling me in this podcast. Yeah.
All right. So, Tuhin, the first thing that I would like to know from you is that before taking this podcast interview, I was actually doing a bit of research about your career, and I saw that you have a corporate background. So, leaving the corporate job, high-paying corporate job, and taking a call of shifting your career towards entrepreneurship, especially এখন আমরা এখানে দাঁড়িয়ে entrepreneurship-কে আমরা যেরকম ভাবে দেখি, back in the year 2008, 2009, how was the view and where exactly did it all start?
Okay, so that was like 12 years back, 2008. The financial meltdown, if you remember, happened during that time. I was with Infosys, and I was handling the banking and capital market sector. So there was a time around October, September, when the meltdown had started, and there was not much of work in the office, actually. I used to go in the morning and just write some reports and respond to some RFPs and then just come back. That is also a time in October when I lost my father. And then, you go through that particular state of mind that what am I doing? Am I really enjoying this? And why should I work for others and all these things? And that is the time when I met a bunch of people, like-minded people. And then it all started off. Although the first idea, I already resigned from Infosys, and we are working on an idea. It never took off because the investors also backed out because of those tough times. So we started off with SME consulting, which is into the different areas which SMEs will need in terms of marketing, branding, business processes, financial management, and so on and so forth. So that was my first startup with the other co-founders, and then we realized that I realized that the service business for an SME sector is a difficult segment to be in, especially with the payments and everything. So that is when I shifted to EdTech, and with another past friend, my batchmate, we co-founded an EdTech company in Kolkata. So we moved into from service to products, and that we ran for about 3.5 years, and then I exited and started my solopreneur journey. So in a nutshell, that has been my journey in the last 12 years. Yeah.
Brilliant. Before I come to the EdTech part, which you mentioned, I would like to know that, as you mentioned that corporate life, you were actually going through that kind of phase in your life where you were actually evaluating between whether you're going to continue your corporate life where you're getting a fixed salary or high paying job, and then there is your passion, from deep inside you feel like you have to follow your dream, your passion. So most of the time je session gulo ami ni with young students, and I get to ask, or rather they come and ask me this simple question, which I'm going to forward to you right now. Jay, how exactly did you evaluate that this is the time that you need to quit your job and follow your passion? Karon, there's responsibilities and there's a lot of other things associated with you. You are not only Tuhin Ghosh. You have your family, you have people going ahead and associated with you. So how did you take the call? Or how difficult was it to take the call?
It's a difficult answer. When is the right time to jump in, right? I will say that, you will probably realize your calling at the appropriate time, and then listen to your heart more than, probably your mind. The time will come, the time can come as early as, for instance, my the co-founder of my second startup, he actually, dropped out from MBA and started. So it can be as early as that, or somebody like me who have been in the corporate world for quite some time and getting started. Even I see my batchmates. So there is no right answer, but yes, the one of the things that you said is the family, right? I think it is very, very essential that you kind of build up some, if your family is dependent on you, then you have to probably take a call that whether you want to do it now or maybe sometimes later. The second thing is I see in the last few years, you have some kind of a side gig. So you are, in the corporate and doing a job, and still, getting your foot uh, on your idea, doing something, maybe even a market research or a small project, and just to get some kind of a validation. So yes, I will say that is very important. The second aspect of the family should support you as well. I mean, I have been very fortunate. My wife was working. She was also in startup. So I got that particular support, and then those trigger points. As I said, that the calling you will know at what point of time is really appropriate to start up. That is one. And the two, the second thing is, see, most of the startups fail, right? You have to have the right expectation that maybe your first startup will fail. So you should, appropriately, I'll say allocate the resources and have some kind of a savings and say, okay, fine, if I, don't do well for this kind of a idea, I can get up and go into the second idea, or in the interim can again join back the corporate world and uh, carry on for some time and again jump back. So that is, I mean, all these options are pretty fine. So you don't have to really wait for something to happen or jump in immediately. So there is no compulsion either ways. And I'll say the third thing is, if you get some kind of a corporate experience, it helps. Uh, Having said that, there are a lot of people that I know who have been successful who have no corporate experience. But you in terms of the business processes, in terms of managing finance, in terms of dealing with clients, this does help. So there is no right or wrong answer. And then I hope I didn't confuse your audience too much, Indrashish.
No, I think it's quite clear that mainly it's when ভেতর থেকে মনে হয় যে this is the right time that I'll be what should I say? I should be following my passion. I think taking the first step is very important, and the rest follows after that. So, coming back to the series of questions, Tuhin. So, when you started your own first venture, I believe you had partners along with you. So the next question will be like most of the startups, Jara startup founders, they actually feel how exactly, or they ask that how exactly or what are the things they should keep in mind while selecting their startup co-founders or partners, or let's say someone who is actually going ahead and going to help him or her to go ahead and make the dream venture come true, maybe in terms of team as well. So, what are the key points you will suggest, according to you?
একটা তো মানে বাংলা কথায় মনের মিল, very very important. That you and your future co-partners or your co-founders should have some kind of a match. It doesn't mean that you have both, all of you need to think in the similar lines, because it is very important to have some kind of a complementarity in terms of the skill set that you bring, in terms of thought process that you bring, in terms of opportunity that you bring. So that should be there. Not everybody is like you. You can't have co-founder who are like just a carbon copy of you. No, that is not the case. But at the মনের মিল থাকা দরকার যে আমরা একসাথে থাকবো, একসাথে জিনিসগুলো কাজ করব. We will take the different responsibilities, and it is okay. I mean, one of the things that my first two startups with the co-founders, uh, there is always this companionship, right? And in the startup world, it is very difficult for other people outside your business to really understand what's going on. So I think it is a very necessary skill, and hence again that kind of a match, the mental match is, uh, I will say, the basic requirement to have your co-founder, followed by the complementarity of skills, followed by, this is something probably I couldn't do in the first two startups in terms of alignment of the goal and how we should reach the goal. So those are probably the three things. Having said that, এটা বিয়ের মতন ব্যাপার আর কি, মানে তুমি বিয়ে করবে, তুমি কি খুব প্ল্যান করে বিয়ে করতে পারবে? করবে না। যে পছন্দ যাকে হয়ে যাবে তখন তুমি তাকে বিয়ে করবে। It's something like that.
Very, very well said. So Tuhin, এই যে ফার্স্ট স্টার্টআপ থেকে সেকেন্ড স্টার্টআপ শিফট করা বা জার্নি, দ্যাট obviously when we start our first venture, আমাদের একটা প্যাশন, আমাদের একটা first venture is always like the first love. That's what I feel. So সেটাকে ছেড়ে, let's say it didn't work out, but but সেটাকে ছেড়ে next venture এ যাওয়া, how difficult was that transition? I mean, was it something which came to you easily, or it was something was planned by you? How exactly did that happen?
I will say it is not something very easy. You always want the first startup to do well for you. The way that you dream, that you come out of the corporate world and build something substantial. And when, you see that, the kind of dreams and the kind of goals that you have, you're quite distant, and then saying, okay, fine, let's move from a service kind of a thing to a product kind of a thing. I think it is a very, very difficult transition. And by that time, if you have already invested your own money, you know that, your bank balance is reduced by so much. You have so much of oxygen. Yeah. So, but then again, as I said, that maybe I was fortunate. One is I had a full support from the family. My wife was working. That is one. The second thing is I also got in touch with very good people with great ideas and great entrepreneurship skills. So again, finding one more, I will say I was lucky to have that. Yeah. So it's a difficult journey. It's like a heartbreak after, you propose somebody and somebody says no. But then you kind of get up and start over again. But it is difficult. It is definitely not.
Right. So now coming to the edtech part. So not many people know, if you have been part of Manipal EduTech, যে digital marketing and courses গুলো তোমরা পড়ছো, বা top 10 digital marketing courses ranked by Google, right? So those courses have been written by Mr. Tuhin Ghosh. So can you please help us to go through that journey? How exactly an entrepreneur changed into writing courses and being part of the education industry? How did that work out for you?
So I will say that how did I really transition into the digital marketing? Because I was always in sales in my corporate world. So sales and pre-sales, those kind of roles. And at some point of time, the first startup, some of the clients wanted, okay, at a website, however, something like that. It all started there. In my second startup, we had to reach out to students based out of Australia, New Zealand, UK, Ireland, and those kind of places, right? And we, of course, cannot travel and sell our products there. So it was actually a digital product. So that is when we started getting into search engine optimization. Facebook was very new at that point of time. SEO was easy to crack. Google PPC was just there. People still haven't figured out LinkedIn for business, how they were going to use it. So it all started there. And then when I exited my second startup, I already had a good grounding. How do you learn digital marketing? One way, I mean, আমাদের সময় digital marketing courses বা certification ছিল না. I said, but in a way that was good for me. I put my own money and I can see the money going in smoke, because we did a lot of things. We failed in a lot of things. And so in my third avatar as the solopreneur, as a digital marketing consultant, I started consulting with some other companies, brands, institutions, non-profits, and all these things. So those are the things that I distilled into the course. So I was approached by Manipal ProLearn, now it is called UNext. Then, Google worked with me for this Google Data Unlock program to uh, design that particular workshop and that particular course. It happened. However, the other aspect of EdTech was my second startup, which was not really into digital marketing as a product, but we were also into different kind of medical test strips across the world. So it is like uh, your medical exams in Australia and UK and Ireland. So the two are kind of pretty different. So one was, we built up that particular product with a huge team, and we had to continuously churn content there. Whereas when in this last 7 years, the different courses that I've created for Manipal or Google, or even I customize and create courses for companies like Flipkart, which is small training session and so on and so forth. Those are basically my experience and my mistakes that I have committed, and then say that how can you do things better. So that is has been the journey in the ethics space.
Right. So, you mentioned like the edutech part came to your life when you became a solopreneur, if I'm not mistaken, right?
No, A to Z part actually we the second startup was in edtech.
Okay.
So it was a tech prep edtech company where we did digital marketing, and that is when I burnt my fingers and actually learned real digital marketing. Which in the next avatar as a solopreneur, I design courses for Manipal and Google.
Fantastic. Great. So, coming back to, entrepreneurship related question, এটা আমার দিক থেকে question. So, if you have been into partnership, you have worked with people, and you have been a solopreneur. So, which model of operating your business has been easier for you as a solopreneur? Because here you can take all the decision all by yourself, and take it forward quite, I mean, things can move faster. Whereas, in partnership, you have to talk to your partners. They can have different opinions, and then it might take some time to take the final call. So which one has been the better experience for you?
I think it is purely something which depends, and you go through that particular journey. Both has its pros and cons. As I mentioned, that partners with complementary skill, with your kind of a mindset, working together for a particular goal on a determined path or co-decided path. That's a great thing to have, and plus the companionship. Of course, when you say that, yes, partners means you have to have a decision to be made, and you cannot just take your own decision. I will see that that is not a big problem per se, and it is good in a way. But yes, it can be at times inhibiting. So when let me put my perspective to this is after two startups with partners, and I realized that the kind of scale that I'm looking at, because I left the corporate while thinking of building something really really great, which didn't happen. So it was kind of still a small scale, and we are still catering to a few people, and the revenues are also, although we are profitable always, but the revenues were also not like millions of dollars. We kind of dream about those kind of things, and that is when I decided that why do I have to take the extra headache of the operation side of it? Because I think I mentioned to you previously that from 20th of the month to 30th of the month, my main concern was how do I pay salaries, how do I pay the electricity fees, how do I have to pay the tax and this and all these things, which kind of diverted my focus on from the main business, right? And I was by de facto, I was also the CFO of this company because my partner said, "Tuhin, you manage the money. We don't want to manage the money," kind of, right? So you want to, get away from that, and I already got something, the experience, and that is where I brought into solopreneur. I'll also say that the problem with a solopreneurship is, while on one side you can say that you can be as lean and mean as you want. For instance, right now I don't really have to take on projects which I don't like, which probably as a company you will take up something you don't like because you have to support so many people. So I don't have that particular burden on me. So that's on the plus. But the minus side is also that there is a level. So if you want to really scale up and do a great millions and millions of dollars of business, Maybe solopreneurship is not the right option, but of course there are a lot of examples people are doing. And solopreneurship doesn't really mean that you're alone. So I have a colleague who works with me. I from project to project I have different team members who will come in from project to project. So it is not like you're doing everything alone, but you are keeping your system and your cost and your operation to the bare minimum. So it's your choice which one do you want to I will say choose for yourself. And both has got its pros and cons.
Okay. So, all right. I think that clearly explains to the viewers that তোমরা যদি, if you are confused between starting your venture all by yourself or you're not being able to start your venture because you haven't found your co-founder, it's completely up to you. If you are confident, if you know, if you have faith on your venture, in your idea, just go ahead and take the first step and the rest will follow. So, Tuhin, that brings me to the next question. You mentioned like you did start in your second venture the digital marketing aspect. So, and digital marketing in those days was actually booming, and এখন তো it has moved to the, I don't know whether it's reached the optimum level, but এখন অনেক কিছু growth hacking, and there are a lot of things which are actually working out right now. What I want to know, although I kind of have an idea considering I am running a digital marketing organization, but still, for the sake of all my viewers, like most of the time when we approach a business or a business owner, we get to hear that मेरे लिए कोई कर रहा है, मेरा 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 बेटा देख रहा है, या फिर my friend is looking after it, and তারা সোশ্যাল মিডিয়া প্রমোশন বা সোশ্যাল মিডিয়া মার্কেটিং সেটা ব্যাপারে ভাবে যে একটা পোস্ট করে আমি আপলোড করে দিলাম, and after that they do not go ahead and get proper result. So they do not understand the power of online marketing. So how exactly, or if you have to address all those individuals who have been going through this, what exactly you would tell them right now?
I mean, it really start to say nothing is really easy in this world, right? And you're marketing, you're doing it for your business, and so many people are there. So first of all, keep that thing out of your mind. It's going to be easy. Second, myth হচ্ছে যে আমার একটা নিজের personal social media profile আছে, খুব ভালো আমি ইনস্টাগ্রামে আপলোড করছি, ইউটিউবে আপলোড করছি। But when it comes to business, it's a different ball game, right? Because you're trying to sell something, you're trying to impress something, right? So সেখানে যখন, so imagine you're talking to your friend versus talking to your girlfriend. Conversations are very different, right? And it is not easy. You may convince your friend, but you may not convince your girlfriend. The same thing also applies here. So get the expectation right. So that's number one. Number two is consistency. Always, 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 please. তুমি যে জিনিসটা বলবে না, কাজ করছে না আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে, কাজ করছে না, বাট দেন কি করলে কাজ করবে, রাইট? সো এখন গুগল বা there is so much of resources which are available online. In fact, আমি যে কোর্সটা গুগলের জন্য ক্রিয়েট করেছিলাম, গুগল ডেটা আনলক, it's a free course. Google did this because they wanted people to understand that this is going to be the data landscape, and it was so good of them that they included LinkedIn, they included Facebook, they included Instagram. So আমরা যখন বসে কোর্সটাকে ডিজাইন করেছিলাম ফার্স্ট, তখন বলছিল যে শুধু গুগল নিয়ে কথা বলো না, সবকিছু নিয়ে কথা বলো, so that these SMBs can understand this is the kind of landscape that you are coming into. And hence, you should have at least that level of understanding. আচ্ছা ফেসবুকে কি হতে পারে, আচ্ছা ইনস্টাগ্রামে কি হতে পারে, আচ্ছা ইউটিউবে কি হতে পারে, মিনিমাম একটা ওয়েবসাইট করতে গেলে কি লাগে। যতক্ষণ না সেগুলো জানছি, ততক্ষণ সেগুলো অ্যাপ্লিকেশন আমি যে ঠিক করে করতে পারবো না। আর সেগুলো অ্যাপ্লিকেশন করতে না পারলে আমি হতাশ হচ্ছি, প্রবলেমটা সেখানেই হয়ে যাচ্ছে। So try to learn, even if you have freelancers or other agencies that you are deploying, try also to learn from them. Try to ask the right question. যে আমি যে কন্টেন্টটা যেটা I'm putting out, at the end of the day, it is your baby, right? Your business is your business. This is not my business. You understand your business the best. So how do you talk to your customer? If you have a sari shop, how do you talk to your customer? If you have an electronic shop, how do you talk to your customer? It comes from you. Then only you can package it. You can get a freelancer and an agency who will help you to package it well. বাট কোর মেসেজটা যদি নিজের কাছ থেকে যদি না আসে, তাহলে সাকসেস পাওয়াটা, unless you are too lucky, it's difficult.
That's absolutely true. Very, very, very well said, Tuhin. I mean, participation of the client on behalf of digital marketing company chalai bole I can communicate that, and I'm sure Tuhin will agree with me that client at a project DA, if you are actually thinking the magic will happen, it won't happen. You have to work with the company, you have to work with the expert together, and plan out the entire campaign and different strategies to reach out to the right audience and right market to crack the entire deal or get sales. So coming back to the series of question on entrepreneurship, on digital marketing aspect, এখন right now there is a trend of let's say those people who are actually working as influencers. All right, so I get to meet a lot of young people, considering I'm associated with a lot of e-cells. আমি অনেক youngsters এর সঙ্গে interact করি, and I get to meet a lot of people who want to go ahead and display their talents online and want to become influencers. And they obviously approach me, considering I'm running a digital marketing company, to take the best of tips from me. Now, if you have to suggest something to those youngsters who want to become influencers in days ahead, what is that one thing that you would like to recommend or suggest to them?
I think it all starts off with the core principle. If you build an audience, you can sell them anything. So the influencers should understand that they have to build an authentically, organically created audience. You don't buy likes just to show कि আমার 3,000, 5,000, 10,000 follower আছে and all these things. So when you do that, automatically the next step comes, which means, what are you good at? What do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about some products? Do you want to talk about lifestyle? Do you want to talk about, I mean, I forgot the name, but একটা বাঙালি মেয়ে ইনস্টাগ্রাম চ্যানেল চালায় যে হিন্দি মুভিজ বা মুভিজ গুলোর একটা প্যারোডি করে সেটার গল্পটা বলে, ভুলে গেছি নামটা কি। So you find your that kind of a niche. What will really get people to come to you, whether it is the style of your delivery, whether the kind of topics that you pick up. So once you know that this is where I'm good at. I'm not saying that if you're good at একদম দুর্দান্ত অমিতাভ বচ্চন হতে হবে বা সেরকম না, but you should be very comfortably speaking about that kind of a thing. And so audience followed by the content, and the third one is consistency. অনেকে, I mean, it's digital marketing ক্ষেত্রে আমরা বলছি, right? If people are not consistent and hence they fail. Similarly, I mean, don't worry কি একটা শুরুর দিকে 10 জন হলো, 20 জন হলো, 30 জন হলো. Try to figure out that what really resonates with your audience. You build up the audience, because at the end of the day, why do you want to be an influencer? You should also ask that question. The main reason is you want to monetize it in some way. So unless the audience connect with you, how will you be able to influence? So getting those principles right, the rest of the things you can figure out.
Right. Now,
and don't buy likes.
Absolutely, that's right. Please do not buy subscribers and likes. It doesn't really pay off in the long run. So, Tuhin, now I'll shift my series of questions to a different angle. Now, considering I am in my early 30s, and I have started my entrepreneurship in my early 20s, and then being an entrepreneur for all these years, now I'm also working as an investor and a mentor to different startups, and also starting my different ventures. So professionally, being an entrepreneur, things fall one after the other. But personally, in your personal life, how exactly do you think, like, end 30s or early 40s age, a lifestyle you shift to is different from where exactly when you started in the early 20s or early 30s? What is that mental shift that happens? Because this is a question I am actually looking forward. It's for my personal thing. I'm looking forward to ask this question because I'm feeling that there's a drastic change in my mentality from where I started in my early 20s, where it was all about friends and hanging out with friends, meeting friends, and doing a lot of stuff here and there. And right now it has slowly transformed into to your family, and it's more about spending quality time with your friends. And uh, এতগুলো বন্ধুর দরকার নেই, খুব অল্প বন্ধুতেই চলে. So how exactly it happens in late 30s and 40s? What is that shift?
I think this a bigger part of this answer has nothing to do with entrepreneurship per se. It's kind of as life goes on, you mature. From your college, take your first job, then your unmarried life, then your married life, then you become parents, then you have responsibilities, and then you become the parents of your parents because they also get old. You have to take care of them. So you go through these particular cycles, and then you mature and you realize in life that a lot of things that you thought that will happen will not happen, and that is okay. Uh, I mean, we start kind of accepting things, but at the same time, we know that we are just not accepting things as a way to not do things. So we will keep on trying, and that is where the entrepreneurship thing actually comes. I mean, I see that people in the corporate, and they're like very very tired, and 20 years, 25 years, and they have been there. রগড়াচ্ছে তো তারপরে এনার্জি মানে এনার্জিটা মানে অনেকখানি চলে যায়.
Hmm.
That's fine. I mean, that's the life that you have chosen for yourself. But then I will say that entrepreneur flavor in this entire journey comes from the fact that, at least for me, one of the thing is I always used to tell people that in the last 12 years, there was not a single day I got up from the bed and I thought, oh, আজকে কাজ করতে হবে.
Right.
And that kind of sets the tone for the day. So if you don't want to work, I sometimes I took an off on a Wednesday, on a midweek. আজকে just মাথা কাজ করছে না, off.
Okay.
Just shut things down, right? So you have the flexibility to work with your energy, and that also helps in the maturity part of it. That we mature, but sometimes we don't have time to think that কোনটা করলে ভালো, কোনটা long term এর জন্য ভালো, কোনটা short term এর জন্য ভালো, and those are the kind of realization that you have. And of course, with the family, as you go from a bachelor to a married to a parent and to a parent of your parents, of course, you start to realize what is most important thing in life and what is not important. But again, having said that, আমি এমন বলছি না যে আমি সেই বুদ্ধা লেভেলে চলে গেছি. I'm still, kind of realizing this slowly. I'm getting there, but there's a long way to go.
Absolutely. Well, talking about Buddha level, I read a lot of books, and recently I read this book called Rich Daddy and Poor Daddy. All right, this one particular book that I read, and it's all about investments and how exactly you can plan out your investments. So আমি যেটা দেখি আজকালকার দিনের the youngsters, they're not, most of them are informed, but there are a lot of people who are not really sure how exactly they should be, where exactly they should invest. কারণ যে এখন crypto চলে এসছে, and there are a lot of new things which is coming in. Anything that you want to suggest to these youngsters in terms of investment, considering you have been there, and I'm sure investment has been a vital part of your career?
Yeah. So I will say that I say this not because I have invested for a very long time, but I say this because at my earlier life, in the corporate life, I was also a private banker. So I know a lot about investment. I used to suggest investment for my clients. Right now, I do it for my family. I mean, I suggest them for my family and friends. দুটো জিনিস খুব important in investment. One is greed and one is fear.
Okay.
So people greedy হয়ে যায়, তাই জন্য খুব দামি জিনিস কিনে ফেলে, আর ফিয়ারে দামি মানে যখন একটা জিনিস অ্যাপ্রিসিয়েট করে সেটাকে বেশি ভালো. Now, one of the main things to avoid this is have a regular investment plan, even if it is 500 rupees a month. So my first startup, of course, for a very long time, I was not drawing a salary. Uh, but I always made it a point that every month I should invest something. And I invested in mutual funds, equity mutual funds. And I didn't look at it for a very long time. I just used to see the performance and I figured it. For a cook and it will, grow on its own. That was a time when Sensex was about, I think, 7,000. Today it is 60,000, right? Almost. So imagine, if you kind of keep accumulating this small amount of money, 500,000. I used to do 2,000 rupees a month kind of investment. Uh, দুটো জিনিস হয় একটা হচ্ছে যে as you grow you have the requirement and there is something a kind of a corpus that you can build up. Also it gives you a bit more freedom as you asked me that what happens when you jump from one startup to the other. One of the reasons that people don't do it because they're already depleted of the money, the bank balance that they have, which I kind of started saving, I will say, in that way. So be very disciplined in terms of saving, unless you have time to actually invest into stocks or crypto, because these are time consuming. You cannot just invest into something and not look at this. And a lot of people lost money in that. If you're not, if you don't have a time, invest into a mutual fund, even a fixed deposit, a recurring deposit also fine. Although I say that it doesn't really beat the inflation. So have a habit for yourself as well as for your family that you have some money that you invest every month. And believe me, in 5-10 years, you will see the results, irrespective of how the market moves.
Wonderful. Well, Amar mone hoy investment is a very vital part for any individual, whether a person is doing business or doing a service, government service, private service. So I think that is something. If are you providing financial consultation to different people? In any chance? Is that?
I used to do that in my first startups, where I used to do a lot of financial planning service for the SMEs. I do it for myself. I do it for some of my mentees, but I don't provide that as a service anymore.
Okay. All right. So, Tuhin, talking about mentees, all right. Ekhun jara ashe, the startup founders who approach you with their different ventures or different ideas or pitch decks, what exactly do you look into before selecting that particular startup? Je ami ei startup venture take mentor korbo. So what are the things, what are the key points that you look at?
See, if I look at my current mentees, who are two of them, they came to me because of some other reason, not because that I selected them. So one of my mentee was the CTO of my second edtech startup. He started off and he said, Tuhinda, can you come in as a mentor? So that was purely relationship. The other mentee was my school friend. So I didn't have that thing about that I had to select somebody, but at times, I get invited into programs for a short period of mentorship. These two are have been with me for last 5 to 7 years almost. But for others, for the short time kind of a thing, I look at their, I will say, attitude first, right? That whether they have that thing to stick around, to be consistent, and even if the idea may not be great, they are willing to listen to you, right? So I usually have one call first just to assess that particular thing. And second is, of course, the idea that they come on board. Do I relate to that idea or not? It might be a great idea, and if I don't relate, then there is hardly much other than a personal mentorship that I can do. I cannot do a business mentorship. Sometimes they might come with not so great ideas, but it is an idea which can be really expanded because there is a lot of opportunity in the market for other competitors as well. So then I will take those as a mentee assignment. Yeah. And one of the key things about mentorship, I'll always say that you speak less, you listen more.
Absolutely.
From my side.
Well, talking about speaking less and speaking more, Whenever I've met you, I've seen that, that kind of peaceful side of your Zen quality in you. I don't know whether it's the right way of forming it, but you have that kind of, personality, which makes you feel that you're always at peace. And generally, the এই ধরনের personality, or to be at peace, meditation plays a very vital role. So coming back to my next question, do you believe in spirituality, and if yes, what are the practices you look at? Because আমার মনে হয় এখনকার দিনে entrepreneurship what if we go ahead and do a bit of research, I think most of the entrepreneurs are shifting towards spirituality, and they are practicing brahma murta, and there are a lot of other stuffs in order to manifest success in their life. So do you believe in all these things?
Absolutely, I do believe, and probably I'll differ that I look calm. My wife will disagree. Um, but yes, it has been kind of a journey. I mean, I guess it started off with losing my father in 2008, and then I also joined this inner engineering program by Isha Sadhguru, where I kind of got a kind of a touch with the. It's just not yoga as an exercise, but yoga as also a union of mind, body, and spirit. So the way I see spirit, it is kind of removed from religion per se, but it is more of discovering yourself and maintaining certain habits, and which has continued for the last 5 years every weekend. In fact, the reason that I told you that I can only do it after 10 o'clock, because morning every weekend for the last 5 years I have a yoga class, and it's a group yoga class which is kind of rubs up all the positive energy amongst yourself. Pranayam, yoga, and fortunately, I also started working last year with somebody who is in the space of mindfulness, and it is phenomenal. I mean, mindfulness. I mean, all the people like confuse between meditation and mindfulness, but it is a totally a kind of a different thing where you kind of try to uh, understand yourself more, listen to yourself more. You're trying to become economist. It's a I will not say it's a very easy kind of a practice. Even now, I haven't really got it. But there are different ways, and you have those apps like Headspace and other things that you can actually subscribe to. They're not very costly, and you can spend some good amount of time. I mean, when I say good amount of time, it doesn't take more than 10-15 minutes a day, just to do a bit of mindfulness and meditation. And yoga really really helps. I mean, we know, I mean, all of us are like, we're not বাইরে গিয়ে কাজ করতে হবে kind of people, right? So আমরা চেয়ারে বসেই কাজ করি. I had a back pain 2017, and thankfully with the yoga, that has never come back. Touch wood, till now.
Brilliant. I think that actually answers a lot of question, and I think we covered kind of the lifestyle an individual needs to lead to be a successful individual, like Tuhin is, like he himself. Now, one last question before I end this interview. You are an investor, startup investor. You have been a startup founder as well, and you have cracked, funding and etc. The entire journey, you have seen the entire journey from A to Z. So, এখন, if you have to suggest something to any startup founder, how to go ahead and be Tuhin Ghosh, let's say 5 years down the line or 10 years down the line, what exactly would you suggest that person?
Two things: don't become Tuhin Ghosh, be yourself. That's very very important. And second thing is, I'm technically not really an investor, although I invested in a different kind of a capacity, but not really like you have your seed fund investor and all these things. But yes, I have raised fund a couple of times for my startups, as well as for help others to do the business pitch to the investors, or do the project report for banks and all these things. um, I will say that one of the things which is very very important, especially because the investors, if I see the community, they follow a particular trend, right? So if you have like right now, edtech is a big thing, and I really wish I started now and not in 2012. So now if you have an edtech kind of a company, you ride the trend, and you will definitely get. I'm sure you will get some investment at least. So one is the trend, and two is also your conviction on the idea. How convinced, even if it's a very simple idea, how convinced are you in terms of scaling it up? Because investors also know that, 9 out of 10 companies that they invest will fail. So it is one company that they're looking at, whether they've reached an unicorn level or not, but that is where they will make their own money. So you have to be very convinced about the idea and how it's scaled. And the third thing is important. Again, it probably will not apply to a solopreneur, but if you have a team, you have to showcase a very good team, because one of the things which investors don't want is, if something happens to you, then what happens to the company?
Absolutely. Absolutely true. And I think I like to add one more point to that is, if you are a startup and if you are looking forward to get funding, first thing the investors also look at is if you have that courage to start the entire thing all by yourself. কারণ যে আমি যেটা দেখি, most of the startup, they depend on the investor to get started. It really doesn't matter that whether you're investing 1 rupee or 2 rupee. And for matter of fact, you can always invest your time. Or if you don't have money, you can always invest your time. But again, the investor always looks at what exactly have you invested, whether it's money or time or effort. But again, if you are saying that, I need money to get started, that's a red signal for an investor, I guess. Am I right?
Mostly it is the case. In fact, what you also talked about is something called the proof of concept. So if you have at least 10 customers, 20 customers, 100 customers, and you can say that this is a kind of, there is already a need in the market and they are giving a feedback, that will really help your case for the investors.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Tuhin, thank you so much for spending this Sunday morning doing this chit chat. And I think there's a lot of things I personally get to learn by getting the opportunity to speak to you. And I'll be looking forward to, touch base with you and, maybe get into some deal or talk further about different things, spirituality, fatherhood, ventures. There's so many things and so many aspects of you as a person, and me growing to that level. Obviously, I love to go ahead and catch up with you.
It has been my pleasure, in Indrashish. In fact, I like the format that you used. Adhik Bangla, Adhik English. This is probably the only place that I will do this. So thanks, and it has been a privilege to be part of the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for catching up today to Let's Talk with Indrashish, powered by Bidhannagar Times. Amra abar arekta episode niye ashbo porer dine. Till then, take care of yourself. Be careful. Omicron has attacked India. It has, I think, first case has been found in Mumbai, 2 cases in Bangalore.
No. Bangalore. Right.
Bangalore, yeah. So be careful and enjoy your Sunday. All right. Namaskar.
Namaskar.